Welcome to Ellie Goldson's Relationship Flow. We are excited to end off this year with our special guest, my wifey, soulmate, Teeny Pops 613, aka Masha Goldsmith. Very excited to say hello.
Hello.
We're going through a lot of things right now, and the class today is going to be going with the flow. We first things first are going to just say thank you, Hashem, and thank you very deeply to my wonderful soulmate for this year that we've had together, another year of life, and an opportunity to get to this climax of the year, mummish together, like really together, especially with the podcast, expressing our deeper thoughts. And going with the flow is something which we're struggling with right now, and it was very wisely chosen by my soulmate to be the title and the focus of the class. What is going with the flow?
Struggling. Who's struggling?
I'm struggling. Exactly. as he said that, she'd pick up the phone, and one of the nudniks in our life is there. Thank God. But yeah, how do we go with the flow?
You want to?
I think. Well, I'll just say initially, I want to thank everyone who's listening now, because we have noticed a big increase, and that's a big thanks again to my soulmate. I mean, just this whole year of such blessings, so many good things have happened. You know, we made a wedding for a child, we made a bar mitzvah, we thank God, all the different good things we've done this year, and all the challenges we've got through, and we've had a beautiful vacation, and the education of our children, thank God, even though it's filled with challenges, but it's still going in a good direction. And most importantly, our relationship, even if we are going through challenges, but we're still totally together. One of the hard things I spoke about last episode was the fact that we're journeying together gives us strength to overcome a challenge like me being away for the next week coming up in Uman in Ukraine.
Look, going with the flow, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But people think, I don't know if people think sometimes, what I've seen in terms of conversations and stuff, that generally one thinks going with the flow, it's always about the big things. It is like bigger things, like say you had to decide last minute that you're going to Oman for Rosh Hashanah, and I have to then work out like what we spoke about in previous things. Now I have to work out my emotional stamina to manage on an emotional level, then on a physical level, and all the different things, and
to regroup.
I have the stamina. Make sure that we have regrouping before, so we have our connection, and obviously afterwards as well. But then going with the flow then is on the smallest. Let's take that as an example. Like going with the flow on the smallest scale would be like you're not even taking that example, but I mean like on smaller things in life, like when you. We'll take the example. I won't go into major detail, but we were driving to pick up our son. He's coming back for Shabbos from his yeshiva, and we decided that on the way we're going to we'll do the podcast on the way. But we got into a really, really good conversation, which probably would have been good to have recorded that, because it was really good.
Yeah, really good flow.
It was a really, really good flow. That's how conversations usually are when we have the time to be together. So yeah, it was a really good flow and a really good conversation, and we were actually talking about going with the flow. Sometimes you have your different plans in life, with your big goals, your smaller goals, your daily stuff, all the different things, what you think you need to be doing or what you plan to be doing, and then sometimes things can happen that don't allow that to be. It could even be you're stuck in traffic. It could be that a phone call comes. It could be that you have to go to a sudden appointment. Whatever.
Even bigger stuff. Relationships that don't work out.
Oh yeah, and then there's bigger things that
even traveling to Uman, nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah, relationship might not work out. That one things.
Work situations.
All different things.
Gone through lots of changes over the years.
One just doesn't. You just don't know. Things can get thrown at you in life, and it's like so we're talking about going with the flow and things. We're talking about going with the flow. Like you have to. Stop. You have to stop and say, okay, what's happening right now? This is exactly where I need to be. Exactly where I need to be right now. This is exactly what's meant to be happening. How am I going to react? How am I going to deal with it? take a few deep breaths, step outside of yourself. So anyways, we're driving, having a conversation exactly about this, and it was flowing and amazing. And our son phones us and says, no pressure. We're actually going to have a quick, all the boys who are still haven't gone home yet, that we're going to have a quick class on something that just, while we're waiting. So, okay, great, no pressure. We'll carry on this conversation because it's so good. And then when we get there, we'll have about a 15-minute wait, and we can do the podcast together. Anyway, as we arrive, and we stop the car, we're gonna start. We see our son running up towards the car, and he was so excited, and he was smiling, and he was so happy, and that
was a challenge.
And that was a challenge. And I have to be honest. And the different. Each person deals with the disruption to the flow differently. So I will. I'm as we
overly compensate.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're talking. So one of the things we were talking about before in our conversation, which was flowing, was also how I'm very emotional, emotionally sensitive, intuitive. Always try and overcompensate to
Please
the kids.
People.
I'm very into nurturing and making people feel emotionally stable and comfortable. And Ellie has learnt a lot in our marriage and he's this very emotional, special, deep person. In a different way to me. So if my son is running up the hill, that's in front of me right now. So yes, we're going to go do the podcast, but at the end of the day, in front of me right now is my boy who's running up the hill, excited to see me. That's the priority. That's what's in front of me right now, and that is exactly where I need to be. So I'm going to jump, smile, and he's not going to know that him coming quicker disrupted the flow, because in my head it didn't disrupt the flow. It's exactly what was meant to happen, and we can, so that was a pure example for me of, okay, so it's okay, like it's okay, and it's also okay to feel, like I would have liked to have done it. This was suited me now to do it. You can have all those feelings, but it's like, okay, but now this is in front of me, and this is really, really important, and.
Yeah, but my experience of these situations has been, there's been so much disappointment this year after the fact of thanking and appreciation, the good health and the blessings. But in terms of, for example, I planned this year to go very strong with Unity bookings, as I've talked about my Unity Flow podcast, and I planned to go very strong with a Muna tour. We were meant to be going on a tour in the summer, and that got delayed, and now probably will be in October, and there's still a good interest, but not like the strong interest we've had in the past because of the uncertainty of everything. And even going to Uman, it was only decided this week, and that made it very hard. And even the fact most disappoints me more than all this stuff, because I love helping all these artists, creatives, and I feel it's part of my mission statement in this world, is to inspire and also host guests, and a lot of involvement with a lot of good people, and part of my trip to Uman is about that as well. But I'm very disappointed by the fact that I can't bring my sons, because it's like triple the price, and it's just very complicated with all the paperwork, all the different the rules, and there's so many layers of tests, and you could get stuck somewhere, and it's just too much responsibility at this point for me, financially and emotionally and mentally, to bring them both, and it's very hard for them that they can't come. My oldest son is there as well. Seeing him running
up, happy to see you,
and I can't fulfill that. I'm disappointed in the flow.
So then it wasn't just about.
So I wanted to get the podcast done so that I could just be totally focused on him, and we weren't able to do that in time. And then
you also knew you were going to have to deal with the conversation.
That was the bigger issue, the conversation of Uman, and it came up in the car, obviously on the way back, and I had to say, I really want you to come, and really, wish it would be easier, and I will take you when things are smoother again, when the world gets more normal. My mindset is not to do extreme things.
It just made me think of something what you're saying. Cause
like some people, it's easy. They'll just go to Oman with their sons. I've heard of people traveling all different places. They're flying in from, but I don't feel like.
But you're being real. This is something we've spoken about before. Is being real with myself, and being real with who, with the things you're going to have to deal with. Their different things, and knowing the different dynamics of everyone and all the different your own stuff. That it's not necessarily going to be. It's not the pros. The cons outweigh the pros in this instance. Sometimes that's in life. You're working out. There's always going to be pros and cons, and sometimes. Generally the idea is that the pros should outweigh the cons, and you can deal with it. Sometimes you have to know where you're at in your life. Sometimes you just have to say no, you can't do something for whatever different reasons. It's being real. You can't. You got to know how much you can stretch yourself. It doesn't matter what the other person's doing, and other people. People are go out of their way to get to Oman for Rosh Hashanah. We're not blessed to live anyway. So it's not something that we've. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is
but the key is that we are deep down, like we said in the previous podcast, the last 2 episodes, that we're journeying together. So that gives us that solid foundation. We talked about that before, that because our core values are the same. Yeah. So when the actual how it plays out gets challenging, like it just did, you were still able to overcompensate, which was the right thing in a way. And I regret that I wasn't more like tuned into that moment and that opportunity just to connect with him positively and then go into it. So either way, we're both doing and growing.
But because we understand each other, like I understood what was going on within Ellie. Like for him, he really he wanted to get the podcast done first of all. Second of all, we're talking about flows. It wasn't just the external superficial flow of we couldn't do the podcast because our son arrived earlier than what we thought, and life's busy, and sometimes it's busy, so it's like, when are we going to get to do it? Like last week I wasn't able to join, but then it's also within your own personal flow. But then it's also within your own personal flow, your own emotional flow, your own personal flow of that. Him coming up represented that you're going to have to deal with this conversation, and that also was it's all different flows, and it's just often there's disruptions of flow, different flows, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge all the time because we're dealing with the external flows, the internal or disruptions to flows, the internal stuff, and keeping your equilibrium and keeping yourself regulated. And sometimes you're trying to keep yourself regulated and your equilibrium, but you have to also do it for the people around you as well.
And also with intimacy, but then with intimacy, as we've spoken many times in the previous episodes of my own intimacy series, and I'm still going to get back to it more intensely at some point in the future. Maybe we'll do it somewhat together. But the idea of having that flow of intimacy that people are not, able to enter, can be a big challenge now with the phones and all the pressures of life, and to be able to still make that the primary moment that you're in, and to be able to
being in the moment basically. So that moment, whatever the moment is learning how to just take a breath, be in that moment, even if it changed the flow to what you thought your moment was meant to be. You in that what's in front of you now, that moment, and you
it's funny, it made me think of that silly Fred Flintstone video we saw, like Fred's trying to overcompensate as a husband because his wife's about to have a baby, and like in the end he just wasn't able to just be in the moment. She just wanted to sleep and go through the process and be normal, and he was like trying to control and be overly like responsible, and it just wasn't working out. But
then just going back to what you said about having the same core values, so then so we were in that experience together, what happened, and but even if, say, his reaction wasn't exactly how I would have liked it to be, and then I overcompensated to give the positive emotion and stuff, but because we have the same core values and goals, and we really try and communicate and be on the same page, that you were able to recognize that I could understand where you were coming from, and you were able to like kind of snap out of it or understand.
Look, in the end, we still had a positive journey back,
right?
And we communicated to our son, and we were able to.
It was really, really positive. Yeah,
we got through positively.
And what I did, what I was very proud of myself, if I could, is that I, as much as I would have liked your reaction to be the same as mine, like quickly, it's snap out and be like, and you needed your like minute or two just to kind of get yourself regular. Okay, this is happening. This is what's in front of me now, and deal with it. And I will, do it differently. And I didn't react. And so in the past, I would have reacted and got upset, and then I could have ruined.
But that's a big thing.
I could have ruined the whole journey back by just being upset. We were discussing before,
but not trying to control other people's reactions emotionally to suit your flow, and not try to always understand people emotionally, not to invest intensely in other people's emotions, except when it's asked for, or it's needed, or it's something which you're paid to do.
That's a whole different conversation.
But what I'm trying to say is that there's a flow.
We've invested in each other for long enough that we're able to. That I didn't need to. I knew that if I react, it's gonna that's gonna mess that's gonna make. It's just going to make a whole negative.
You're going to lose exactly
your goal. Exactly what I wanted.
And you have been around people in your life who do that, unfortunately, and and I also, and thank God we've learned to not be like that, because then they always fail at their goal. Their goal is they always want everything to be. But I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. And that goal of perfection is in itself a massive mistake.
Sometimes
because there's no such thing as perfection.
But sometimes
and there's no such thing as totally always everyone working out how you'd like. And then now the challenge is to now go with the flow.
But then
that is the point. Going with the flow.
And if I had reacted the wrong way and been a bit upset or been, and created more of a negative energy because I was upset, but then my perfectionist nature will be like, oh my gosh, like why did I do that? That's not good. Whatever. But then also accepting, because we can't be perfect and sometimes we're going to react not in the right way, and it's okay not to be okay sometimes. And then you take yourself out of that. Okay, I didn't react the way I wanted, and I can say I'm sorry. I created negative energy, and recreate the positive energy.
That's the idea, that we're in a growth mindset.
It's okay.
It's okay to go
ideally,
up and down.
That's the ideals, but
I just want to end off, because it's been quite a long concept, but the main point what I want to end off with is we have a new year coming, and I want us to go together, realize that we're going with the flow this year. We don't know what's going to be. We're going into Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, a holy time. We're going to pray. We're going to hopefully have some very good moments. Even while I'm in Uman, it will be soul connecting. I'll be there praying for us, and please God, with a lot of good people. And then you'll be here building the family, and please God, we'll unite again for Yom Kippur and then Sukkot and all the different holy times we have ahead. Positive family time, please God, as well. And we can thank for all the good things we've had this year, but also be hopeful for the new year that we'll be able to go with the flow, that we'll have plans, overall, like we'd like to succeed in our goals and our dreams and our passions and our mission statement, but at the same time we're also open to go with the flow, and that means in the big ways, and like you said, cleverly, and the small things as well. And our relationship should just get stronger and stronger, and that's the blessing that we wish everyone who's tuning in to have a good relationship flow.
Breathe.
Have a beautiful year. Enjoy your soulmate. Enjoy your people that you're close with, your soul connections, and flow within those moments of connection, and not to be restricted or controlling.
Yeah, like what we said, it's like knowing who you are.
Yeah, or expecting.
Knowing who you are, being strong with who you are, and what your goals are and what your values are, but being open, but you're still open to
grow,
accepting
and flow.
that there's other people who are different, and being able to
open in a positive, joyful way.
Yeah, learning from
in a flexible way.
The different things.
And you're going with the flow, and it will lead to a happy, blessed year. Amen. Thank you for tuning in. Please share your relationship flow, and we'll put the email and any other links that are necessary in the description. Looking forward to hear from you in the new year. Might be a bit of a time, have a little break for like a few weeks maybe. Maybe I'll be able to do one while I'm in Uman, we'll see by myself. But either way, we'll keep the relationship flow going. And thanks again for being part of our journey. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.